All right, everyone. Welcome back to another video. I know I haven't uploaded I haven't uploaded this series for a few days. If you've seen my Echo reviews, I really appreciate it. I think I'm going to review movies and games and stuff like that too. Stuff that I'm interested in. But I'm going to continue doing this because history is what I love. So that's what I'm going to focus on. So you guys are going to get a lot of this kind of stuff, and I'll definitely do reactions to that stuff. So this is kind of like a little bit of a channel update, things like that, for anyone that watches this stuff and enjoys this, because this is what I like to do the most. The last time we left off on this change of the map, and silly old me not realizing that was the end of the first year of the war. I didn't even realize, and I should have figured with them showing us this map, but yeah, that was the end of the first year. And so we are now on to the second year. And as with the beginning of the first year, you'll get to hear me drone on about the second year. So it says, after France fell, the British Isle became the next German objective. Every schoolboy knew that Funny Mustache Man's next blow would be struck firm. Wait, oh no, my bad. Struck at the English homeland. Funny Mustache himself confirmed this by boasting that he would be in London by mid-August 1940. Britain faced one of the greatest crises of her history, and the Battle of Britain that followed deserves to be ranked with the crucial actions of Waterloo and Marathon. Now, it's kind of funny to think Waterloo, the importance of Waterloo, and then Marathon, which are a difference of like over 1,000 years in importance. But hey, they're flexing their history muscles in this history book. The outline of the German plan became apparent a month after the French surrender. Funny Mustache Man intended first to soften up Britain resistance. Resistance by air raids on the ports and vital centers, and then try an invasion. The air attack actually started in July 1940. It continued with steady intensity until January 1941, when bad weather curtailed operations. The fierce tempo... One second. Jasper. It's not your toy, dude. You don't need it. Sorry about that. Jasper was trying to get Mayhem's toy, which he didn't need. But, it's steady intensity until 1941, when bad weather curtailed operations. The fierce tempo was resumed in March and continued through April, May, and early June, after which Funny Mustache Man gave up the Battle of Britain to operate in other fields. England was not invaded by Germany, because Germany failed to establish mastery of the air over the island. After Dunkirk, the British aircraft industry got down to a mass production basis. Men in the RAF proved themselves technically superior to their adversaries, and usually were victorious in any battle of equal odds. By January 1941, 3,437 German planes had been shot down as compared to 847 British machines. Another important fact that is a large percentage of the British flyers parachuted to safety, whereas the loss of a German plane meant the loss of the entire crew. The first phase of the Battle of Britain was marked by German concentration on a military fray. It ended on August 15, 1940, by a decisive German defeat when 180 of the 1,000 German planes were lost in a single day. The strict attention to military objectives was then abandoned for indiscriminate bombing. calculated to break the hearts of the English. London was first badly hit on September 7th, and from then until the following June, it served as a constant target for German planes. While the loss of life during this period never reached critical proportions, property damage was enormous. Statistics issued by the Ministry of Home Security show that from August 1940 to January 1941, 22,744 civilians were killed and 31,817 injured in raids over England. In March, April, and May of 1941, when the Reich again resumed the fury of its attacks, the number killed was 15,949, and the injured 16,901. Property damage for all of England was placed at $480 million for the first 2 years of the war. That is an absurd amount of property damage. Obviously, yes, the loss of life is very high. 22,744 plus 15,949. So I'm just going to do some quick math here. 3, it's 3,869. No, it's whatever I just said. Yeah, no, it was a lot. Let's go with that. It was a lot. Too many, honestly. And too many people injured as well. Around 50,000 injured and around 40,000 killed. It's too much, honestly. And that property damage, obviously back then, $480 million is a lot of money. Compared to now, it would be still a lot of money, but not as much. But in today's money, that would be a lot of USD. Holy crap. I would say that almost goes, probably not almost, that probably goes into the billions of dollars in property damage, which is crazy. All right, the Italian disaster. The early months of the second year of the war tell the story of Italian military and naval incompetency. The drive toward the Suez Canal from Libya, which had begun with great fanfare in August of 1940, abruptly petered out in September. Sidi Barrani was taken, but the Italian attack stalled only 70 miles east of the Libyan border. On October 28th, Mussolini launched an invasion of Greece from Albanian soil, which he had conquered early in 1939, before the beginning of World War II. The Greeks looked to be helpless as the Italians began pouring over the Albanian border. The Greek first-line troops numbered no more than 150,000, poorly equipped according to the requirements of modern warfare. Sorry about that. Mayhem had to join up here. He wanted to read the book too. But yeah, the Greek naval. Oh boy, we're getting there. Got to reposition myself now to read a book. According to the requirements, the Greek Navy consisted of 1 obsolete cruiser, 10 destroyers, 13 torpedo boats, and 6 submarines. The world now knows how well the Greeks defended their homeland. Within a month of the start of the invasion, not an Italian soldier remained on Greek soil. The Greeks had launched a counteroffensive and were soon waging war in Albania, taking the important Italian bases of Koritsa, Argio Castro, and, ironically enough, Porto Edda, which had been renamed for Mussolini's daughter, of course. By the end of 1940, they were in possession of 1/4 of Albanian soil and had driven the Italians from all important ports except Volano and Durazzo. That sounds right. On the night of November 11th to 12th, a British task force accomplished the initial deflation of Mussolini's claim to control of the Mediterranean Sea. The main part of the Italian battle fleet was caught fast asleep in the harbor of Taranto, and when the one-sided action was over, 3 of Il Duce's 6 capital ships were out of service. British raids on Italian convoys bound for Libya were correspondingly successful, and the conclusion became inaccessible. Yes. And the conclusion became inaccessible that Mussolini had lost control of the Mediterranean, presuming he had ever held it, which he didn't. He might have thought he did, but he didn't. In December, the British army pushed the Italians out of Egypt, recapturing Sidi Barrani and marching into Libya to take Bardia. Tobruk and Benghazi. In the early months of 1941, England had won the first phases of the Battle of Serentia, a barren sandy wasteland that was to become a scene of fluctuating fortunes for both democracies and the Axis. The assault on Italian East Africa, the Italian East African Empire, that's what that says, was made from both Anglo-Egyptian Sudan and Kenya. Cooperating with the British, Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian monarch, had returned to his former domain and mobilized large bodies of loyal natives. The first victories came in March when the Kenya divisions not only took Italian Somaliland, but recaptured British Somaliland. On April 6th, British troops took the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa, yeah, that's right, and restored Haile Selassie to his throne. In May, the dissolution of the Italian East African Empire was completed by the conquest of Eritrea. That's what it is. It's Eritrea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Italians don't really do that great in this war. Obviously, everyone makes jokes on them, but I think a lot of it comes down to the Italians didn't really want this war. Il Duce did, but the Italians kind of really didn't want this war. So they didn't really try as hard as everyone else. And so, yeah, they didn't do as good, but it's kind of because they didn't really want to. The Balkan Campaign. Germany's next full-fashioned offensive was directed against the Balkan states, with Romania, Bulgaria, and Hungary safely enrolled under the Axis banner. Only Yugoslavia and Greece remained to be taken. Funny Mustache Man's other purpose was to rescue Mussolini from a bad predicament in Albania. The new blitzkrieg began on April 6th with the simultaneous marches against Yugoslavia and Greece, the latter of which had been bolstered by a British expeditionary force. By April 17th, Yugoslavia was beaten, and although small native units continued an effective guerrilla warfare, the Greeks, with their English allies, held out until April 28th. By May 1st, the British had evacuated to the island of Crete, which they had only occupied with Greece's consent in October 1940. On May 19th, Germany's troops landed on Crete, and by June 1st, had dislodged the British in what was one of the bloodiest phases of the war. Mussolini saved from his Albanian plight, and once more, the British were without a foothold on the European continent. Yeah, the fighting in Greece is crazy. Obviously, like they mentioned a little bit earlier, the Italians go in, and Mussolini and many of them thought this would be easy. We'll just push them over. The Greeks are way behind us technologically, things like that. But the Greeks show them, no, we're not just going to be pushed over. And they fight hard. The Italians are overwhelmed. I mean, they get pushed all the way back into Albania and are being pushed back through there. And obviously, it only comes with the attack of the Germans or with the help of the Germans, that the British and the Greeks and the Yugoslavians are defeated. Which, yeah, Yugoslavia doesn't exist no more, but they were pretty strong. Kind of. The Middle East. In late April, the British took the first steps to clean up Axis agent activity in the Middle East. This region, rich in oil deposits, had presented a tempting plum to the greedy Wehrmacht. In Iraq, Raqsid Ali Beg Gilani? Yeah. Had overthrown the regency, ruling for the 4-year-old monarch, Faisal II. Gilani surrounded himself with Italian... one second. Come on, Mayhem. Climb. Mayhem fell, and so I had to help pick him back up. He wasn't paying attention, huh? It's okay, Mayhem. But yeah, Gilani surrounded himself with Italian and German henchmen who cooperated with agents in Syria, where the Vichy, that's what it is, controlled government showed no disposition to curb their ingenuity. On May 2nd, Iraq artillery opened fire on a British garrison at the Habania airport, precipitating a campaign which ended on May 30th when the British occupied Baghdad. British and French troops marched against the Vichy French in Syria on June 8th. The capital of Damascus fell to the invaders on June 21st, although the Vichy French commander, Henry Dent's, delayed final surrender until July 14th. Vichy France gave up the Syrian and Lebanon mandate and turned over the territory to the protection of the British and the Free French. Yeah, so obviously they're talking about the French a lot here. They're still fighting. They're not out yet. They'll keep fighting until the very end. Germany strikes at Russia. Rumblings of discord between Germany and Russia struck a critical note early of June 1941. After she had subdued Finland, after she had a, what? I feel like I'm missing something here. Early in June of 1941. After she had subdued Finland, Russia, in 1940, had acquired the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And, wait, oh my gosh. I'm trying to read this, and I'm losing my spot here. And the Romanians, Bessarabia. Okay. Okay. So Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and Romania's Bessarabia. The first three were the onwards of plebiscites? I'm not sure. We're just going to go with plebs. And the gift of Bessarabia was the result of diplomatic pressure. In the first weeks of June, heavy troop concentrations were established on both sides of the frontier by both the Axis and the Russians. For some weeks, German units had been garrisoned in Finland, and Germany had offered no plausible explanation for their existence. Then, on June 22nd, Germany suddenly struck at Russia, somewhat altering her usual routine by a formal declaration of war, which spoke of the Bolshevik menace of to civilized Europe. Yeah, obviously, Funny Mustache Man hated the Jews just as much as he hated the Bolshevik people, the Russians, whatever, the Slavic people, as much as he hated the Jews. So that's why there was no way he was ever going to keep this peace. It just wasn't going to happen. He hated them with a passion. Civilized Europe. Well, the German attack was generally directed at all. Yeah, directed. Hold on. I lost my place. Was generally directed at all points on the huge front. 3 main spearheads developed after the first days of fighting. One struck from German-occupied Poland and East Prussia into Lithuania, with the Baltic states and Leningrad as the ultimate objective. A second worked out of German Poland into Russia. Russian Poland, in the direction of Moscow. A third, composed of Germans and Romanian troops, invaded Bessarabia with the rich Ukraine as its goal. During the first 3 weeks, Lithuania, Latvia, and Russian Poland were taken, and White Russia invaded. In the south, Bessarabia was once returned to Romanian rule. From Minsk northwards, the advance averaged 300 miles, a formidable accomplishment when viewed from any standpoint. But by now, the mobilization of Russia had been completed, and while the Reich continued to press forward, the progress was slower and more costly. In the north, the Germans reached the outskirts of Leningrad by late April. In their attack on this historic city, they were aided by the Finns, who had again taken up arms and, with no German divisions, were surging down the Karelian Isthmus. In the central sector, Russia admitted the fall of Smolensk on August 13th, and the Germans were pressing onwards towards Moscow. Oh, my bad. They were pressing on towards Moscow. In the south, they had reached Odessa in mid-August, encountered a stiff resistance, and then bypassed the city and then advanced on Kiev, the capital and largest city of the Ukraine. So yeah, obviously they said the Ukraine here, and a lot of people are weirded out by that, but that is how you're supposed to say it, the Ukraine. And yes, obviously some people say Kiev, some people say Kyiv. I'm not going to have that debate. I've always known it as Kiev. It's just easier to say. I don't really know what's right, what's wrong. So I'll just say what I know. I'm sorry if I offended anyone. To keep open the supply lines into Russia, British and Russian forces engineered a joint invasion of Iran in August. They forced the abdication of pro-Axis Shah Reza in favor of his son, Prince Mohammed, a potentate of democratic sympathies. All right, well, that's going to do it for all that. So I'm just going to go over a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of, they don't really talk about this as much, but the fact that the Russians and the British just overthrew a country, like, oh yeah, they're in our way, we're going to overthrow them. And they just do it. It's a little murky, I would say. Well, all right, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. And as always, subscribe. It really is a great help, and I'm so glad I'm back to making these videos. Thank you.